What's Up Flobo, episode 137. And much like every other episode in the What's Up Flobo canon, do yourself a favor and check out all the other episodes out here on YouTube, youtube.com/FloboBoyce. And if you could support the show by clicking that link down there to get some school credit, some store credit at StreamYard.com. See, I use StreamYard for all of my streaming shows, and you should too if you're thinking about doing a live podcast. Get your friends involved, branding tools, all that stuff at StreamYard.com. How's everyone doing? I'm doing all right. It's Wednesday here in the middle of December officially. It's the holiday season. My brother has a birthday coming up. He's officially older than me, as always. Just kidding. But other than that, I'm enjoying myself, enjoying my life. It's here in California, we have the new stay-at-home orders. Doesn't affect me day to day too much. For those of you asking, I appreciate it. Just checking in to see if I'm okay. I only hit up the grocery store, and those are still open. So that's really my entire going outside. And I work out too. I go out for runs and all that. But so day to day, it hasn't changed much for me. You can still order delivery. You can still get your essentials from pharmacies and medication if you're someone that has to take them. So yeah, we got to see how long this one takes, how long this one goes, and that's just the way it's going to go. It's out of your hands. What can you do? Besides the fact of a pandemic, it's also the holidays. It would have slowed down anyway. Regardless of what's going on with the virus. But yeah, I want to know how you guys are doing with your own various states of lockdowns around the country. As for me, this month is one of reflection. And if you guys know that I do my resolutions at the end of the year to write stuff for next year, haven't done those yet, but there's still things I'm thinking about adding and all that. But it was in the reflection period of what this year meant to me, I was going back and thinking about the fandoms of stuff I got really back into or into for the first time. So I just wanted to share it to you. The big thing I think is sports. And I mean that in many different interpretations, except for the New York Mets, as you can tell by Mr. Met, who's peeking in the corner of his frame. I'm a big baseball guy. I love the Mets. Most of the teams I have, I'm a fan of, has been pretty casual, whether it's the Mets or the Houston Texans or the Brooklyn Nets or WWE or Manchester City Football Club in England or Liga Deportiva Alajuelense in Costa Rica. These are just teams I kind of like casually. I'll wear their jersey. I'll see a game if it's on. But I'm not a huge fan, I guess, or I'm not fanatical to the point where a win or loss affects my day. The Mets do. But if Manchester City gets blown out, it's like, man, I really want them to win. I'll be okay. But during the lockdown, since I had so much time on my hands, and since sports seasons kind of like were pushed and folded into each other, I got really into that kind of thing. My Premier League summer, watched a lot more soccer games, got back into MLS at a bad time for the LA Galaxy because they weren't that great this season, but it was still pretty cool to see the appeal of that. And that coupled with my small career as a minor league esports player in the game of Rocket League, I totally understand the psychological parts about being an athlete. It's not just going out there and making the bucket or going out there and scoring. It's the hours you put in training or your diet or making sure you have good habits or you're a good teammate. Like these are things that I don't really think about as a fan. But now, because I'm in this video game world, seeing that happen to other people in real life is pretty awesome. That's why I like when LeBron James brought a championship home to the Los Angeles Lakers this year. It was like, man, the mental fortitude to play at that high level at his advanced age in a unique circumstance is something I just can't forget. So that to me was something I appreciated. And also F1. F1 was Formula One racing was the big one. I've known of F1 forever. You heard names like Schumacher, and Lauda. You heard those names. I didn't quite put it all together. There was a huge barrier between the common man and open wheel Formula One. They even made fun of this aspect in the movie Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. It's like F1 tended to be this other thing. But like most casual fans of the sport now, I got into the Netflix documentary series Drive to Survive, and it really did a good job, a massive stroke really, of making the sport more accessible. The first couple episodes were It was no accident they used Daniel Ricciardo as the entry driver. He's really the more personable driver on that grid, and they had a lot of cool things got a cool storylines for this to latch on to. So from day one, my day one. I was a George Russell fan, for example, and this past weekend when he got to race for Mercedes in lieu of Lewis Hamilton, who got the disease, who got the virus, it was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm on board. This unattainable, inaccessible sport has now been personalized for someone like me. So again, thanks to Netflix, just scrolling around their library, falling into documentaries, falling into more of their nonfiction programming. I was opened up to a lot of things, not just Tiger King, which took the world by storm this year, but definitely F1 as always. And before we get out of here too, I can't not mention other YouTube channels. Two big ones I've been checking out was Ghost Town Living. If you haven't heard this one, this guy bought an abandoned town out in like the desert, just him, and he's building the city brick by brick, week by week. He's like, oh, I'm going to build a gym here. I'm going to make sure I have all the food I need for the winter because it gets so cold. And there's not really an electrical grid. It's just fascinating. Granted, it's 2020, so there's a bit of a shred of hipsterism in there. But besides that, it seems like a brand new Man versus Wild. It's like man going back into civilization, rebuilding it with his own bare hands. And if you have time, also, another YouTube channel I do recommend is Defunctland. They tend to look at things that are closed down or shut down and do a little bit of a history of it. There is a video from them about like the history of Coney Island and how many parks and how many organizations were down there in its heyday, because it really was a playground for debauchery, but also trying to hold on to this family-friendly image. When I was a kid growing up in Coney Island, it had this dark carnival thing. Like there were still theme parks, but it was like you don't want to be at Coney Island after dark. You don't want to go under the boardwalk for whatever reason. They have since filled in that boardwalk, so you can't even go under it if you tried. but it was a whole different thing. So Defunctland and Ghost Town Living were the YouTube channels I got into. The fandoms I'm a part of during this lockdown. That does it for me, man, and my appreciation of sport and all that jazz. This is Wassup Flobo, episode 100 and plus or whatever. I'll be back later this week to talk more about what's going around on my world, on my planet, in the galaxy, on my universe, whatever the phrase is. I'm out. Be good to yourself. Make sure you call your mom because she misses you. I'm out.